All right, y'all. It is the hill city of Lynchburg versus the star city of Roanoke. Who's gonna win?
We are. Let's get after it. So one of the things that people, whenever looking to move to the Roanoke Valley, there are a lot of times they are actually comparing other cities that might be mountain towns, right? So they might be looking at Bristol, they might be looking at Lynchburg, and so we thought, what better way to actually compare the two than to have a local Lynchburg expert on the actual video today.
Yeah, so please introduce yourself, JD, local expert in Lynchburg, to tell us all about what it really is like living there.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. And I am JD Miller. I do work with that little international real estate company called EXP Realty. I've been in Lynchburg for 6 years. I've been a realtor for four, transplant from up north, Pennsylvania. So I know what it's like to move into a new area. And it's been a pleasure helping people do that in the Lynchburg area. We're only about an hour, depending on where you're going in Roanoke or where you're going in Lynchburg, we're only about an hour away from each other. So yeah, it's a good comparison to have if you're looking to move into the market.
So I feel like if you're a transplant per se, so you moved from Pennsylvania to Lynchburg, you're going to have a wealth of knowledge for those people that are moving to either Roanoke or Lynchburg based on you being a transplant. So that's super cool. I didn't realize that.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I'm native born Roanoke. Hal and Chris Cohn here, Cohn Realty Group, brokered by LPT. I'm a native. You're a transplant.
I'm a transplant from deep South Georgia. So I was like on the Georgia Florida line. So anyways, from that perspective, I love the mountains. I love Four Seasons. I love being here and being able to actually see snow from time to time. Not a ton, but just enough. Yeah. And I don't have 9 months of summer. So that's one of the reasons I love it. And the beauty is just majestic around here. So anyways.
Yeah, and no matter what city you're thinking about relocating to, it is so important that you do your homework. That's why you're watching, right? You got to find out the cost of living, the jobs, safety, transportation. There's a whole host of things that we're going to dive in today. And while on paper, Lynchburg, Virginia and Roanoke, Virginia may look really similar, I think you'll find that there's some differences, and I'm excited to dive in.
So I'd like to jump on into the fact that if you moved from Pennsylvania to Lynchburg, did you do the type of intel and recon that people that watch your channel and our channel actually do every time they start making a decision on that?
No, I didn't. So what we did was what you're going to find, and I think my answer is going to be coming up as we go through this. A lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people moved to the Lynchburg area because of some connection with Liberty University. And that's what I did. I'm a retired trooper from Pennsylvania. I came here, I got a job at Liberty University. Actually, wasn't even thinking about real estate. Didn't even know if we wanted to buy a house here. So we rented 2 apartments because my family had enough kids. We didn't have room in one apartment. We rented 2. And then about, a little under 2 years into it, I decided to get my real estate license and get into real estate. So I did no research really. I just knew I was coming, did not get on and dig through YouTube channels or anything. Just came and found like a decent apartment, nice apartment, and landed there until I made the move to real estate.
Wow.
That is so stinking cool.
I know.
I don't know if I'd have that bravery or not, but it sounds like you had a job in place. You're like, okay, I'm going here and I'm set, right?
Yes.
I'll figure it out.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about geography and climate. With Roanoke, we're situated in the Blue Ridge Mountains. We're surrounded. We're laying in a valley here. That's why you hear us call it Roanoke Valley. We're surrounded by those beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains. It is known for as the Star City of the South, and that's because of our giant illuminated neon sign that sits on top of Mill Mountain Star. And what about you guys? Tell me about the Hill City.
I'm glad you are the Star City and they put a star up on the mountain. If they put something crazy up there, I don't know, like a woodpecker, you'd be the Woodpecker City. So now you're the Star City. Lynchburg is the Hill City because there's a lot of hills here. The city of 7 hills. I can look at the historic, districts or but I think there's more than 7 hills. And here's a little tidbit. When we moved here, when we decided to look for a house, we would look at listings and they would say flat level yard. And we were like, what's a big deal? I don't understand this at all. And then you'd go look at some houses and the yard would be like, drop off, useless. Is that like that in Roanoke too?
It is.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's like you have to pay more for a flat level yard. And people, our recommendation to folks is if they come into town, never been here before, start riding around, look at Zillow, Realtor.com,
Yes.
that type of thing, and actually see like what's that yard look like, because that's going to eliminate a lot of properties for a lot of folks.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
especially as you get more rural, but people are sometimes surprised with the curves, and it's not laid out in a grid system, and also the
Right.
hill. Yes.
Right.
So
And mountain views, like you'll say, I mean, you can be on the same exact road and you're at a house. Like we went to look at houses and we were getting there and we're like, oh, these are beautiful views. And then you go whoop and you have
yeah,
zero view.
Yep. Quarter of a mile down the road, oh man, no view anymore.
you're
That's
right.
right.
What about the population there?
Yeah, we're around 70, 79, somewhere between 70 and 79,000. And we're similar to you. I wasn't sure about the geographic square miles. You are a much higher population. We're about 49, 50 square miles. And you guys are like 43, I think. So mileage is similar. I mean, not mileage, population numbers are similar. But it's interesting because it does feel a little bit spread out here,
Mhm.
especially with what's your population number?
Where Roanoke City proper
Mhm.
is 100,000. The
Right.
whole valley is about 300,000.
Right. Okay. So our statistical measuring area, whatever they call that, that's we're in the 200s, low 200s, I think. So that's Lynchburg City, Bedford County, Amherst County, Appomattox, Campbell. But of course, those counties are big. So it's just that little area around Lynchburg City. The population doesn't feel overcrowded. It
That's
doesn't
great.
feel very packed in because I mean, again, where I'm from in Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the capital of Pennsylvania, it's like 10 square miles. It's like a lot of these cities are the mileage is a little the square miles is a lot smaller.
Right.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I hadn't
Mhm.
thought about that before, honestly,
Yeah.
because I feel like we've got plenty of room here too, plenty of elbow room, not running into
Yeah.
people, and that type of thing.
So let's talk about weather. This is a hot topic with clients moving to this area. Literally hot topic, get it? But I didn't even know. I didn't even plan for that. So what's the climate like in
You're
summer,
so
spring?
cool. You are so cool. Get it?
Yeah, I get it. I get
Okay,
it.
okay,
Right.
okay. I think the climate's similar to yours. We do have all four seasons. It's not very severe. It is a little bit of everything. Now, again, coming from Pennsylvania, it was a change to me because of the mountains. I think we might get a couple snowfalls a year that's measurable, but things kind of shut down. In
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, you get inches and feet, and you're still open, you're still doing things. But I used to think, people are kind of soft around here. They close everything. But I think then because it's the terrain, people are traveling from different ends, different sides of the mountain, and so it only takes a little bit of precipitation to make things different here. But you do get all four seasons. I have people move from north. I have people move from Florida who are like, I can't stand the heat in Florida. I mean,
Yes.
everyone likes their own thing,
Mhm.
but it's definitely nice to have all four seasons. And I imagine you guys are just about the same. I don't know if there's much difference. Maybe there's a difference because of where you sit with the mountains.
Sometimes, I mean that can certainly affect the storms that come in. Sometimes the mountains break those up, especially those snowstorms.
Mhm.
But what were you
Yeah.
going to say about?
Oh, I was just gonna say, for us, like you said, like in the winter, we always have the running joke. It's like once snow or ice hits, it becomes Hallmark holiday, right? So it's like
Yeah.
you're drinking hot cocoa, you are watching Hallmark movies, and you're hoping you get enough snow so you can actually go sledding and that type of thing, right? So you actually make it a fun time because, most people are looking out for the safety of the kids primarily. So there's no
Right.
school buses running and all that. But it's not that often that we get that. But when we do, we make the best of it. And then summers, we still get some heat and
Yeah.
humidity.
Oh yeah.
Highs are in the mid 80s.
Mhm.
But our favorite time of year is fall because we've got
Yes.
the
Yeah.
leaf colors that change. It's just a perfect time to have a bonfire and just hang out with family for camping, which we've got tons of camping in our area. And one of our favorite places is actually close to you
Yes.
over in James River State Park, right? So,
Oh, nice.
yeah. So if
Love
you haven't
that
been there,
place.
got to check it out.
What's the cost of living like in Lynchburg and specifically housing?
And so the housing market here, the median housing price, I just checked the last 6 months, it's around 293,000, the median price. So that's in our MLS, not Lynchburg City. So our MLS again is the city and those surrounding counties.
Mhm.
And then we might dip into Nelson County or Pittsylvania County a little bit, but it's primarily Lynchburg City, Amherst, Appomattox, Bedford, and Campbell. So that's the median price. As far as taxes, if you find the house you love in Lynchburg City proper, you're going to pay more in property tax. It's 81 cents per $100 value. And then the cheapest county is 41 cents per $100 value. So
Gotcha.
Bedford is 41 cents, Lynchburg City 81 cents, and then all the other counties are in between for property taxes. Yeah, it's, it just depends on obviously budget. Some people do ask me like, well, what are the taxes? And I'm sure like you guys, your city and your counties kind of run on different cycles. So some will reassess every 4 years, some reassess maybe every 2 or 3. And so those values will creep up like they did crazily over COVID. They just jumped like crazy. So if you're scraping a budget and you're just making it work and then the taxes go up, that could be a big deal to you. But if you have a little more leeway and you love a house in the city, you don't really care. 81 cents, 41 cents, it kind of comes out in the wash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great perspective. Yeah, and I will say for everybody watching this that Lynchburg city taxes are cheaper than some of the taxes over here in the Roanoke area. So like Roanoke City, City of Salem, those are going to be your highest, and they're over $1.20 like per $100 assessed value. So that's what I was kind of surprised at that with the 81 cents for the city of Lynchburg. So
they just dropped recently. They were at $1.11, and then I think within the last year they went down to 81 cents.
Okay.
I wonder how they did that.
I don't know.
Like,
yeah,
wow.
Well, it was a little bit of a fight, because people are like, wait a minute, I picked the city because I do want public transportation. I want some of these amenities. And now if you reduce my taxes, then what's going to happen to those things? So,
Yep.
Right. Definitely.
So have you seen any modifications to those amenities yet?
I have not. I haven't heard people complain. YouTube is a great place to get information, and Facebook is a good place to complain. So I try to check Facebook to see what people are complaining about, but I haven't noticed any big complaints. Admittedly, I don't ride the bus. Do you guys ride the bus in Roanoke?
No, I ride.
We should do a video
every once in a while.
Oh yeah.
We should do a video. We should ride the bus and then do a video on what it's like in public transit.
There you go.
That's a good idea.
We do have some people that rely on public transportation. Mm-hmm. So, and as a matter of fact, we have the Valley Metro to take you throughout. It's not very connected, but it does offer some.
You have to be very specific on where you live if you want public transportation. When you use public transportation, you want to be able to bike easily, and you want to be able to have walkable areas, and you're going to have to be very centralized as far as like what you're looking for and where you're actually looking for those properties here.
Yeah, that's a great point too. I live in a community there's about 200 houses in my development, and so I can get safely. There's no sidewalks in my development though, but everyone walks on the street, and I can get safely, a 3 to 5 mile loop in if I want to go jog, which I do. But some places, depending on where your house is at, you're like out on the well-traveled main road, and it's a little more difficult to do that. So that's a good point, Hal.
Yeah. And just circling back to cost of living, both places are going to be under the national average for cost of living, and that's why I think it's so attractive.
Yep.
Both areas, it just more affordable housing.
Yes.
But our median price.
Yeah, like for Roanoke Valley in general, we're like 287-ish, so very close to you, very similar to Lynchburg area on that front. And we of course had significant appreciation over the last few years and continuing this year. One of the things I was going to ask you related to that was, we're filming this, folks, whenever you're watching this, we're in October of 2024. So I was just curious, what's going on in your real estate market in Lynchburg proper this right now compared to what you've seen earlier this year? Are you the same? Is it different? And if it's different, what's different right now?
Yeah, so it's slowed down a little bit. I think it's slowing down everywhere. And maybe this has to do with the election cycle, because again, when you're watching this, someone's going to be really happy and someone's going to be really sad in about a month or so. And I don't know if people are waiting on that, but beginning of 2024, here's some numbers for you to consider. In Lynchburg MLS, beginning of 2024, I do like a weekly update, and you're looking at in the low 500s, high 400s, low 500s for active residential listings. Okay. Every week when I would check. Later in this year, up until today, we're in the mid 600s. So the inventory has crept up, but our days on the market has crept up too, where we were still 20, 30 days on the market beginning of the year. Now we're 40, 50, seeing price reductions, some houses coming off the market. How long have you guys been doing real estate?
So I've had my license for 10 years, and we've been full time for 5 years once she got her license. So
Okay.
5 years for us, truly 40 plus hours a week, like 60,
Full-time.
70 hours, right?
Yes, yes, right, exactly. So what I mean, I know this historically, but I don't know what your experience is even with the 10 years. Like in the past, it's like, okay, houses will be on the market for 3 or 4 months. It's no big
Yeah.
deal. And now
Yeah.
people flip out when they're on there for 60 days, right? Is
Yes.
that your experience?
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely. So managing those expectations is critical, and I'm glad you mentioned the inventory thing because we're kind of similar, but you guys are still compressed compared to what we are. So in a normal market here in the Roanoke Valley, like pre 2019, 2018, we'd have like 15 to 1600 like units per day on the market,
Mm,
and then like you said, it could be 3 months to 6 months before you sold a property. And so earlier this year, we were like 600 a day, like you said, first part of the year. But now at the end of 2024, here in October, for us, we're at like just over 1,000 units per day. So we've got like a lot more inventory than you guys do right now.
yeah,
Which I kind of find surprised. Like you guys are still pretty compressed if you're down that 600
Yeah.
range.
Yeah.
we
But we've
are.
steadily increased throughout the year, seeing price reductions, of course, where people are just trying to get absurd numbers from a couple years ago. You got to be super smart and methodical as a realtor and a consumer right now if you want to sell, to actually price it properly. Make sure it's got to be pristine. You can't get away with some like awful looking, like, hey, we got to come in and remodel by $100,000. You're not going to get top dollar for your property as
That's
a
right.
seller, right?
Mhm.
Yep,
So
that's right.
So, in order to buy those properties that y'all are talking about, let's transition to employment. And when I think of employment, I also think of healthcare because, these are some needs. I know our areas attract retirees, young professionals, things like that. So, can you talk to me a little bit about your healthcare system and also education and economy, job market? What does that look like?
Yes, that's a lot of
That's a lot.
questions, Chris.
I
That's a
know.
lot of
that is,
questions.
that's a lot. We got confidence in you, JD. You
All
got
right,
this.
all right.
One at a
All right,
time.
let's start with employment. I'll say, our major employer here is Liberty University. And then we do have that nuclear infrastructure like BWXT, Framatome. We don't have a lot of big companies here. So it's going to be LU, the nuclear industry. And I don't know what we don't have a nuclear plant. They're building components or doing whatever software wise. I don't know what they do. But those are and Centra, the healthcare system. That's another big employee here. So Centra, let's just be honest. Again, you can go on Facebook and find this. Some people have really positive experiences there, and some people have negative experiences, and it's very difficult. I think the best you can, you want to kind of take a whole bunch of information in, a whole bunch of experiences, and try to make your own judgment. Now, the good thing for me about the healthcare system and our location is I know if you have an emergency, you want to get to a hospital, you want good care, but you guys have Carillion. I'm not trying to steal your thunder. Did I pronounce it right?
That's
You
right.
did, yeah.
Okay. So you have that from us. You're an hour, 10 minutes south of UVA in Charlottesville. So if you're shopping a little bit, if you have a specialist that you want to see in Roanoke, you can still get there. If you have a specialist you want to see in Charlottesville, you can still get there, and you still have good care. I've had good care here personally. So, as far as family doctors, the hospital system, I am supportive of it. I've been pleased with it. I'm sure, like everything else, there's ways to improve, but that's
Sure.
the kind of healthcare and employment together. What I miss,
Oh,
Chris?
good. Let's pause with that because I think they're kind of one and the same. I shouldn't say one and the same, but they dovetail nicely because here too, Carillion is a major employer in the area. So healthcare is huge. Manufacturing is really important here, and also the school system. So like community services.
Yeah, and then like Wells Fargo, of course, like we have people that will move here to Roanoke proper so they can work for Wells Fargo here in Roanoke City. And then as far as like healthcare itself, as far as having access to healthcare, you've got Carillion, like you said, and we're level 1 trauma center. So if something goes really really bad, then you're really close to that. And then also we've got Lewis Gale, which is part of HCA, and that's over in the Salem area. And like you said, you get mixed reviews from
Right.
people all over the place, which is just typical consumer, right? It's like you're gonna have some that have great experience, some that have not so great experience. So you just got to kind of weed through and figure out, what's going to work best for you and your family on that front when it comes to healthcare.
Yeah, and I'll say we have Veteran Affairs, so a VA
Okay.
center here in Salem. That's been a big draw and a great asset to our community. But like you were saying, JD, we have some friends and family that have to seek specialists at UVA, VCU,
in
and
Richmond.
Yeah.
and then Duke as well. So if you need something really specialized, you may be on the road a bit.
Yeah. So Duke is probably what, like 2 hours, 2.5 hours from you?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's about right. Because I mean, Raleigh's like 2.5 to 3,
Yeah.
and Duke's right by there. So yeah, it's not too far at all. I would assume probably close to for like 3 hours for you guys. So I mean, I didn't realize you guys were as close as you are to Charlottesville, which is definitely makes that more convenient up there to go into UVA for sure.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, okay, you can. I don't know if you want to jump ahead of this or I missed something. We can come back to it. But Raleigh Durham is probably about 2.5 hours because that's where I typically fly out of. I have flown out of Lynchburg Regional Airport, but I know from your good notes that you gave me, your airport is a little busier than ours. Lynchburg has about 14 scheduled flights per day, and you're going somewhere to connect there. You're not really going anywhere directly. So if I fly west to visit my son who lives in Portland, Oregon, we typically go out of Raleigh Durham. It's a 2.5 hour drive. It's a bigger airport, but it's not huge. Very, very easy to fly out of. I like it. So we'll typically do that. If not, you're flying out of Lynchburg and you're connecting, either going to Charlottesville or you're going to Charlotte, I think. But only 14 flights a day. Your airport is a little busier.
Yeah,
we are.
We have about 40 flights a day, but same thing. We are flying to a connecting city. So usually that's Charlotte, Atlanta.
We've got a few direct flights. Like we got some direct flights to New York. We've got some direct flights down to Florida.
Nice.
So those are good opportunities for travel, especially going northeast or going to Florida to see family. But then, like you said, it's like you can drive to Raleigh just as easily from here, or a lot of people will actually take Amtrak, or they'll drive up to DC from here to fly out for international flights, especially.
And Greensboro. We've flown out of the Greensboro airport, but we both like these smaller airports for the ease of travel. So there's something to be said for our little southern hospitable airports, and we both have Amtrak, so we got that going for us.
That's
Planes and automobiles.
That's right.
So I think the biggest, neatest category, in my opinion, when you're thinking about relocating somewhere is going to be quality of life. So let's talk about culture, lifestyle, and just the vibe. Tell me about that a little bit in Lynchburg.
Like your favorite thing to do in Lynchburg too.
Yeah.
Let's keep
you put me on the spot there. Favorite thing to do. All right. So I like to eat. I like to go out and eat. And we do have some good restaurants here. If I'm being honest, I think I've been to Roanoke a few times and I cannot think of the name of this place. There's a Cuban place. Can't think of it now, but I don't know. You can text me or something later and I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah, there's quite a
is that right on the main road?
It's right off of Williamson.
Yeah, that might be it. We come there to eat. So Roanoke has some good places to eat as well. But I mean, the culture here, I'll tell you this. It's interesting maybe to hear your perspective from being native and then from moving from Georgia, from Pennsylvania down to here. And I've talked to numerous people that have come transplanted, whether I helped them move or not. It's a little bit of a culture shock because it's friendly.
We have
people,
heard that.
Yeah, people wave at you. People hold doors for you. Like my son from Oregon, when he came here, he's like, I'm not used to this. Like this is, people look at each other, say hi. I had one client who he was riding around with his nephew, and his nephew's like, someone waved at him, and his nephew said, "Hey, how do you know that guy?" And the uncle was like, "I don't know him." He's like, "Well, why is he waving at you?" So people are nice. And here's the other thing: you can find idiots, bigots anywhere, but I'm in a kind of a mixed family. Okay, my wife's Puerto Rican. My oldest son, my stepson, technically his dad's black. I have 2 biological. We adopted 2 from Haiti. So we have and my son-in-law is Chinese. So we have this mix of everyone in our family. And I
Great.
asked them specifically too when they came here how they felt about being here. And because when you're in the north and you're like, oh, we're going down south, it's like, how are things
Right.
going to be? And they've all felt comfortable. It's all been good. Up north, you can edit this out if you want to, but I'll tell you this: up north, it's when you see a Confederate flag, it's a clue. Okay,
Mm,
it's a pretty strong clue. Here, maybe not so much. Like you can have your beliefs and opinions about it, but I'm just telling you, I generally lean more towards grace down here. If I see something, if I was up north working as a trooper and I saw that, I'd be like, okay, I think this person has certain ideologies where it might be a little different when this is the culture that you grew up around.
Yeah.
mhm.
I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. I think here too, yeah, Southern hospitality that's even in our tagline, expertise with Southern hospitality, because yeah, I love it when people from Florida and up north, especially when they come to visit, they're like, man, even the drivers are nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think it's the same here. We're getting on the bandwagon of supporting local, whether that's food, farmers markets, shopping, things like that. I like seeing that trend coming up. But as for like culture and lifestyle, what do you think?
Well, I was going to ask about, since we were talking about friendly drivers, I was going to ask him about traffic in Lynchburg. So let's talk about that, and then we'll go back to culture.
Okay.
Yeah, traffic. So this is I'm interested to hear your take on this as well, because you guys have a genuine real life interstate going, through your area.
That's
We
true.
don't. Yeah, we don't here. So we have, some state highways, but we don't have interstates. So as the population grows, the infrastructure feels more small. Before I came here, there's a main road 221, which runs from the town of Bedford in Bedford County and then north into Lynchburg. And I'm told like 10 years or so ago, that was a 1-lane road. And it's 2-lane now, but it still gets busy. And then our traffic around Liberty University during certain times of the day with classes or during football games, things like that gets busy. And you have to be prepared for that. There's not really an appropriate on-ramp or off-ramp built for the traffic that's here today. So traffic can feel a little congested, but it all depends on your perspective. I had clients come from California and they're like, look, we'd sit, for 40 minutes and go 1 mile. So this is nothing to us.
Yeah.
But depending on what you're used to, it could feel a little congested. What about you guys in that big interstate?
Yeah, the interstate is certainly one of the main thoroughfares. If there is a problem, which it is a frequent occurrence, then it affects everything.
Anywhere from Blacksburg north on 81 to Botetourt County, basically.
Yeah, and it can
southbound that way.
Right, and it can bottleneck into Salem and the Roanoake area and 581, which is the spur off of 81. But generally speaking, the traffic is very tolerable and moderate to light, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You can get just about anywhere in 20 minutes. And that's always been our motto. You can be very urban to not extremely, but pretty rural in character in 20 minutes. And you can get across town. And so it's very manageable, but there are certainly congested areas.
Yeah.
And it's usually time dependent, though.
Yeah,
right.
I was going to say,
so it's depending on like like your traditional rush hour in the morning and the afternoons, those types of things. So, like you said, most people that are moving here that are from out of state, it's nothing to them because they've sat in like 2-hour commute. So this is like nothing for them.
Sure.
Yeah.
So going back to like culture, and so you were saying you love to eat, so I need to know like what your favorite restaurant is in Lynchburg. So next time I'm there, I know where to go.
Okay.
And then secondly, like what type of things do you guys have access to, like downtown? I know it's got a little bit of a vibe down there because we've been over there a few times. So just give us some highlights on that front.
Yeah, like what would people do? What's appealing? What's drawing people? What amenities are there?
Yeah, so we have the downtown area is growing, rejuvenating. I don't know what the right term is, but our Downtown Lynchburg Association is a really good organization. So coming up here over Christmas, we're going to have, like last year, I'm sure they're going to do it again, downtown lights. So they put up all these different like light features and people walk and, spend time downtown on the bluff walk, like right near and along Riverfront Park. And Riverfront Park is getting an amphitheater. They're putting an amphitheater in there to have more availability or infrastructure there for concerts and things like that. Yeah, my favorite restaurant, or I have several favorite restaurants. Yeah, like for breakfast things, there's a place downtown called My Dog Duke's. We have several different kind of ethnic food options, which is nice. Vietnamese, Chinese, Mexican, um, Mediterranean. Got a place where I love the baklava, so that's all good. Downtown, we have the Academy Center of the Arts, so they have different performers coming in. Have you heard of Michael Carbonaro?
No, I
No?
haven't.
Okay. Yeah, Google him sometime. He had a TV show, The Carbonaro Effect. He's like a magician, comedian kind of guy. Yeah, he was at the Academy Center, so we went to go see him there. So that's a really beautiful building, beautiful venue, and that was a lot of fun, that show. So unfortunately, they had the Harlem Ballet coming in. We had tickets during COVID, but then everything got canceled. So I'd say like Riverfront Park, downtown, again, some of the eateries. We have the Blackwater Creek Trail, which runs into Amherst County, and there are several like points where you can jump on in Lynchburg. But if you go the whole way, you can get 6 miles like in one direction. So on paved or gravel, and then there are a bunch of earthen like offshoots that you can do as well. So people do a lot of outdoor stuff, like you said, right on the James River, right across on the Amherst side. There's like James River Outfitters, something like that. They do different boating activities. There are some bike shops downtown that do weekly bike rides, pedals and pints. They get together, they go for a ride, then they stop for a drink, something like that. And I have some new clients that had just moved into town that actually are real outdoorsy people. They hike, they bike, they do a bunch of stuff outside. So they're into that. They go to that ride. So that's the kind of stuff that happens here. And then we have some good, I'll give a plug for County Smoke Barbecue. I think that guy might be like an award winner, and he might be technically right outside the Lynchburg city limits, but he's close by.
We'll count it.
We'll let you count it.
No, that's great. Yeah, and pretty similar here too. This area has arts and culture and music really are the theme. That even though it's a smaller, mid-sized community, we still are packed full of museums and venues for theater. We've got a couple civic centers. Outdoor music venues are really big.
See, I think you guys beat Lynchburg in this area, because you do have some different venues, like some larger venues, and I think your whole like the music scene and all that is a bit bigger. But for me, again, it's only an hour away, so I could live here and just drive over and visit.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what you guys have at the Riverside Amphitheater whenever that comes on board, because we love outdoor concerts. We don't make it there often enough, but we love Dr. Pepper Park. So there's like lots of great tribute bands throughout the summer.
Nice.
And we always say at Berglund Center, we always get some headliners per se, because it's on 81, so it's an easy place for them to stop if they're going up the eastern coast.
Yeah.
So that helps us pull in some bigger folks there to be able to see those.
And then the Harvesters and Rocky Mount, that's a really intimate setting. So small, and you just feel like you're face to face with the artists, but that's beautiful. But outdoors is huge here too.
Yeah.
Hiking, biking, everything. We have a pretty significant Greenway Trail and Blueway Trail with Roanoke River. And then Carbon's Cove,
of course, for equestrian, for hiking, biking, fishing, kayaking. You name it, you can do it out there. You guys to go kayaking with the kids out there.
Yeah, and talking about someone that moved, we've had numerous clients move here for the outdoors, and 2 in particular that moved here just for mountain biking. I was shocked.
Yeah, my guys are 2 big mountain bikers also, and they do road and mountain, I guess. But also, you guys are how far from Smith Mountain Lake?
Depends on what part.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, like Roanoke proper is like 45 minutes to an hour, depending upon where you're going at Smith Mountain Lake. So
yeah. So same here. We're about an hour, but again, it depends on where you're going on the lake and where you're coming from. But I had a client who just recently went down to the lake and took his like boat license course and rented a boat, and he had, for like a couple $100, and he had an awesome time. So people, if you're looking for Smith Mountain Lake is a beautiful lake, and you're very close, whether you're in Roanoke or Lynchburg. So that's an option. And we both have a minor league baseball team, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah, we have the
The Red Sox.
the Red Sox.
That's right.
Salem Red Sox.
Salem Red Sox, yeah. Yeah.
And you guys are y'all the Hillcats?
The Hillcats. We are the only minor league baseball team affiliated with the Cleveland Guardians that is not in Ohio.
Huh.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's pretty cool that we both held on to that, because a couple years ago, Major League Baseball revamped and they cut out a bunch of minor league teams. So there's only 120. And so it's nice that both cities have that.
Yes,
absolutely. And then we do have the Rail Yard Dogs. We have a a minor league hockey team as well at the Bergen Center, which a lot of folks really like.
That's cool. Our big hockey team here is Liberty University, believe it or not.
Yeah, and so that's a great thing that y'all have is the university right there. So you have
and it's
access.
Not like a little school.
Oh
no,
yeah,
it's huge.
Sprawling. I remember as a kid, there was just a few buildings, and that's
right.
Liberty. And I was like, that's Liberty. It's huge.
Constantly growing. About 7,000 acres. When school's in session, about 15,000 plus on-campus students. So very big, and it's very a lot of opportunities. They do their own music show productions. I love going to athletic events, so we go to volleyball, field hockey. I get season tickets to basketball because that's my favorite. I typically sit home and watch football on TV, but yeah, it's a lot of opportunities there, which I like being close to a school. Now, what's the biggest school near you?
So nearest large 4-year school would be Virginia Tech. So that's about, an hour, 45 minutes to an hour southwest of us.
Okay.
But, here in the Roanoke area, we've got Hollins, we've got Roanoke College in Salem.
And Virginia Western Community College.
Okay. So some of those smaller schools too, I love going to those at sports athletic events also. So we have a couple D3 schools here too that we'll go watch events at too. So that's neat to watch. You can get up a little bit closer typically, sit closer, see more of the action.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, this has been really fun. I feel like what I'm hearing is both cities offer really high quality of life and natural beauty. I'm stronger.
2 against 1 over here.
That's right. And pretty similar cultural amenities. So really, how do you decide? What do you think, JD? Do you have any recommendations on how people can decide between Roanoke and Lynchburg?
Yes. Well, first, there's going to be some people that are just like you said, hey, I got a job at Wells Fargo. So it's not a decision, really. It's just a decision of let me call the Cones and go, find a house. Or somebody's going to have a job at Liberty University. It's not a decision. But if you are searching, yeah, YouTube's a great place to search. Think about the different amenities, where you want to be, what you're closer to, maybe family. We're only an hour away, but depending on where you're going to travel to visit people, it's an extra hour onto your travels. So I think everything is really close. I do believe, as you've said, Chris, I think our notes that you do have a little bit more of an urban feel in Roanoke. So if that's your thing and you like that, that's great. I have one of my clients that moved here, started a podcast that he hopes to take kind of across the country, but he came here specifically because of the kind of small town feel in Lynchburg. So they did their vision board and they want to be near water. And you have, again, Smith Mountain Lake, a little bit closer to us. You have Leesville Lake, which is smaller, but if a little bit more of a smaller town feel here, maybe not quite as many amenities as far as music venues, things like that, but you get a little more urban feel there in Roanoke.
Yeah, I could see that.
Definitely. Yeah. So I think the best recommendation that we have is make sure you come and check out in person both places. Give yourself a few days and just explore, right?
Yeah. And if you have any questions between now and then, reach out to JD for your Lynchburg resource. Reach out to us over here at Roanoke Virginia Living for your Roanoke resource. We can help you plan, strategize, give you tips and tricks to make it a successful trip, and give you all the intel you need to make an informed decision for you.
We'll see you on the next video.